Hello friend, I want to tell you about the Nissan Qashqai car. There were many engines in Europe, all turbocharged. Only the 1.2 DIGT petrol unit with 115 HP gives poor performance. The weaker 1.5 DCI diesel generating 110 HP works more pleasantly and does not lose breath. Over time, a more powerful 1.6 DIGT petrol, 163 HP, was introduced to the range, but it was withdrawn in 2018. In its place appeared the 1.3 DIGT engine, which also replaced the 1.2 unit. This engine was created in cooperation with Mercedes and generates power of 140, 158, or 160 HP. The diesel range has an interesting situation. From the beginning, the 1.5 DCI K9 family with 110 HP and the 1.6 DCI R9 with 130 HP were offered. The latter appeared towards the end of Qashqai I production and is a natural successor to the 1.5 DCI engine, but the older type won out with the standards. From 2018, it was replaced by a modernized variant, 1.5 DCI K9 K872. And a year later, a completely new unit from the R family was introduced, 1.7 DCI with 150 hydrogen phosphide, which in terms of characteristics is the most pleasant engine of all. There was one more engine variant available, but only outside Europe, mostly imported from the US. It was a 2-liter non-supercharged petrol with 144 horsepower, most often associated with an automatic and 4x4 drive. Although the Nissan Qashqai was available in Europe with 4-wheel drive, only a few versions had it. We are talking about the 1.6 and 1.7 DCI diesels. The combination of automatic and 4-wheel drive is very rare, mainly 2.0 variants. 4-wheel drive is a classic Nissan design, with an electronically controlled multi-plate clutch connecting the rear axle. Automatic gearboxes are usually continuously variable CVT or double clutch, combined with the 1.3 DIGT unit, and very rarely seen in combination with the 1.5 DCI 115 HP. Which engine to choose? The choice is very difficult, despite appearances. Let's start with petrol engines, among which the safest option is version 2.0. But not everyone will like the configuration with automatic transmission and origin outside the EU. An alternative that would fit the car well could be the 1.6 DIGT. But it is quite fuel-hungry, and unlike the 2.0, I wouldn't necessarily recommend LPG, although you can, because there are suitable installations with post-injection. Of the two evils, the easiest would be to choose the 1.2 DIGT version, which is too weak and a bit troublesome, or the newer 1.3 DIG, which is only found in younger models and is not too weak, but little is known about its failure rate. Both are low fuel consumption, but the 1.2 really just does not go at times, especially in the mountains or under load. Diesels are therefore ideally suited to the Qashqai. Each version is appropriate. For those afraid of such an engine, I recommend the 1.5 DCI before the 2018 facelift. It is still relatively simple, and the material defect of the bearings has been removed. Those expecting more power should opt for the 1.6 DCI. The 1.7 DCI remains a mystery, but for now it looks very good. Because it is a development of the 1.6, I recommend the cautious to choose the newer version, 1.5 DCI, 115 HP. In my opinion, the best unit for the Qashqai is the 1.5 DCI diesel offered until 2018. It doesn't offer sensational performance, but it's better than the 1.2 petrol, which also uses less fuel and breaks down less often. I advise conservative drivers to look for the 2.0 petrol. After the facelift, the best choice is also the 1.5 DCI. What goes wrong with the Nissan Qashqai? Unfortunately, the Qashqai II did not prove to be a typical Japanese car when it comes to faults. The 1.2 DIGT engine and its accessories break down most often. Problems with starting or fluctuating revs are quite common, but less problematic than, for example, a stretched timing chain. The unit suffers from this condition mainly because the oil is changed too infrequently. Oil can also wear out, especially the early production versions. Leaks are common. The 1.6 DIGT engine is well designed, and it seems that users do not complain about it very often. However, this is due to a small sample. Only about 10% of cars have this engine. The faults mentioned by users include a faulty lambda sensor and problems with the transmission, gearbox and clutch operation. Diesels, most often 1.6 DCI, also have their problems. With higher mileage, you can expect the timing chain to need to be replaced, but the most common failures are the exhaust gas cleaning systems, 2 EGR valves and a DPF filter, and the battery. A common problem is the inability to start the engine due to a flat battery. Users of the 1.5 DCI have less problems. A well-maintained oil engine can easily cover 300,000 kilometers without any serious faults, but it is worth replacing the timing belt after purchase. And for those who want to drive longer, checking or replacing the bearings at around 200,000 kilometers is a good solution. In this case, one of the biggest advantages of this unit is its cheap parts compared to the competition. Unfortunately, engines are not the only area susceptible to failures, although it is worth adding that all engines, especially DIGT petrol engines, are susceptible to oil leaks. Early models have quality issues. If an electronic device doesn't work, it shouldn't surprise the owner. This applies to even trivial things like opening and closing the car. It is not uncommon for indicator lights on the dashboard to light up, indicating that the engine is not working properly. It is worth going to an authorized service center from time to time to have the corrected software installed. Moreover, after purchase, a visit to an authorized service center should be one of the mandatory items, because the Qashqai has been subject to a number of service campaigns. Overall, the Nissan Qashqai II is not a bad car, although its French blood is noticeable. The car is prone to minor faults, sometimes irritating, but not such that they require expensive repairs. The greatest risk concerns the 1.2 DIGT engine. The car's advantage is the relatively inexpensive spare parts, which are also available outside of authorized service stations. Quote, "Is it worth buying a Nissan Qashqai? This model is easiest to compare with direct Japanese competition in the form of the Mitsubishi ASX, Suzuki SX4 S-Cross, or the French Renault Kadjar. In my opinion, it looks the best, has the best equipment, and is the most enjoyable to drive. You can also enjoy a wider choice of engines compared to Suzuki and Mitsubishi, but the petrol ones are much worse and less refined. The biggest advantage of the Qashqai II is, in fact, diesels. They are not only successful and fuel efficient, they simply are there. In younger ASX models, finding a diesel is difficult, and in the S-Cross from the beginning of production it has been rare. Nissan offered diesels from the beginning to the end of Qashqai production. Thanks for listening to me. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and rate my videos. If you know of any problems with this car that I haven't mentioned, be sure to write about them in the comments.